I was holding a check of 5 million naira with my hand shaking, my eyes burning, and my mind screaming that this kind of money does not look for people like me. The woman had already turned her back, and the street noise was loud, but my head was louder. I did not even know how I got there. That moment was the end of a long story, but it started on a day I thought was useless. That Tuesday afternoon in Ibadan was hot and angry. The sun pressed my head like a hand. I was coming back from the printing press with empty pockets and plenty worries. My shirt was soaked with sweat. My phone was silent because nobody calls a man that owes everybody. Rent was due. Light bill was waiting. The press owner had warned me that if I did not pay before weekend, my work there was finished. As I walked fast, I kept counting problems in my head like they were beads. When I got close to the junction, someone stepped into my path. I almost brushed her aside before I noticed she was standing still like a pole. She was not young and not old. She was neat and calm. She held a nylon bag tight to her chest like something inside could run away. Her eyes were fixed on me, not looking through me, looking at me. She said, "Please, I have been looking for you." I stopped. My heart beat faster. In this city, that kind of sentence can mean trouble. I told her she must be mistaking me for somebody else. She smiled small and said, "No, I am sure." People passed us. Keke shouted. A bus conductor was calling passengers, yet everything felt slow around us. She said, "Thank you for saving my life." I laughed because it sounded like a joke that missed road. I told her I have never saved anybody before. I'm just a printer that manages to eat. She shook her head and asked me to follow her to the side of the road. We stood near a kiosk where groundnut shells were on the floor. She told me her name was Mrs. Adeyemi. She asked me if I remembered a rainy evening years ago near Okeado when the street light did not work and water filled the gutter. At first, my head was blank. Many nights look like that in Ibadan. Rain comes without warning. Light goes without apology. She started talking, slow and clear. She talked about standing on a bridge, soaked to her skin, tired of life. She talked about a marriage that broke her heart and a business that swallowed her money. She said she had walked with no plan until she stopped there. As she talked, my chest began to feel tight. She talked about a young man that passed and slowed down. She said he complained about rain and said she should rest small under a kiosk. My body reacted before my mouth. I remembered the umbrella in my hand. I remembered the smell of wet road. I remembered feeling late and still stopping. I remembered leaving her under a light and rushing off. I had forgotten that night because it meant nothing to me. I was just trying to get home. But as she stood there, looking at me like I was a rope pulled from deep water, I knew my life was not as small as I thought. And I did not know yet that this meeting was about to turn my whole belief upside down. She took a deep breath and continued, and the road around us felt like it moved far away. Her voice was calm but heavy, like a load she had carried for too long. She said that night did not start with rain. It started with silence, the kind of silence that makes your ears ring and your heart beat too loud. She said she left her house without telling anyone. Her phone was inside her bag, but she had already switched it off. She did not want calls. She did not want advice. She did not want anybody to beg her to stay. She said when a person reaches that point, even love feels like noise. As she spoke, my mind traveled back to that same evening. I remembered how the sky suddenly turned dark while I was still at work. The rain started in a rush, like it had been waiting all day. People ran, some laughed, some cursed. I remembered opening my umbrella and thinking only about how to get home fast. She said she walked through that rain without caring. Her shoes were soaked, her clothes clung to her body. People rushed past her, holding their bags and phones, angry at the weather. Nobody looked at her face.
Nobody noticed she was standing by the bridge for a long time. She said she was not crying, she was tired of crying. Her heart felt empty, like something had finished inside her. She had debts she could not pay and shame she could not explain. Her marriage had ended and her shop had closed within the same month. Friends stopped calling, family spoke but did not listen. She said the bridge looked calm. The water below was dirty and fast. She believed once she entered it, everything would finally be quiet. As she spoke, my fingers tightened around my bag. I could see the bridge in my head. I could see that woman standing there, and I felt cold. Then she talked about me. She said I did not rush past her. I slowed down. I complained about how rain does not respect anybody, rich or poor. I said she should rest small under the kiosk light. I did not ask why she was there. I did not touch her. I did not warn her. I just spoke to her like she was normal. I felt shame enter my chest because I did not remember thinking about her after that night. I did not pray for her. I did not wonder if she was safe. I forgot her face. She said after I left, she stayed under the light for a long time. She said my voice kept repeating in her head, not the words, but the normal way I spoke. Like life was still going on, like she was still part of it. She said she looked at the bridge again, but it did not pull her the same way. She turned back. She walked slowly home. When she reached her room, she sat on the floor until morning. I felt my throat burn. I wanted to talk, but my mouth refused to open. She said the next day, she tore the notes she had written. She said she went to meet someone for help. It was hard. It was slow. Some days were worse than that night, but she stayed. As she finished speaking, I realized something that scared me. That night, I was rushing home, angry about my own small problems. I thought I was late. I did not know I arrived at the right time.
She stopped talking, and the silence between us was thick. Cars passed, people shouted, but inside me, everything was quiet. I kept seeing that bridge in my mind, and the woman standing there, alone with her thoughts. My chest felt heavy, like something had been placed inside it without my permission. I told her I did not do anything special. The words came out weak. I said anybody would have done the same thing. I said it was God, not me. As soon as I said it, I felt like I was trying to escape something I did not understand. She shook her head slowly. She said many people passed her that night. Some looked at her and quickly looked away. Some pretended to press their phone. Some crossed to the other side of the road. She said kindness is common in talk, but rare in action, especially when someone looks like trouble. Her words sat on me like weight. She said after that night, life did not suddenly become sweet. She did not wake up happy. Some days she still wished she did not wake up at all. But she said something had changed. She said she knew at least one person saw her and did not judge her. She told me she spent months trying to find me. She went back to the bridge many times. She asked people around. Nobody remembered me. She did not even know my name. She only remembered my voice and the way I held my umbrella like it was too small for both of us. I laughed small when she said that, then quickly stopped. My eyes were hot again. She said she finally stopped searching and decided to live her life quietly. She focused on healing. She sold what was left. She learned to sleep again. She learned to wake up without fear. She said when life became steady, the need to say thank you returned stronger than before. As she talked, my own life began to shout inside my head. I thought of my room with unpaid rent. I thought of my mother calling to ask if I was fine when I was not. I thought of how I felt invisible in this city, like my existence did not change anything. I asked her why she looked for me now. I asked why today. She said she saw me last week near the same printing press. She said I was arguing with someone about money. She said my face looked tired, like a man carrying too much. She said she recognized my walk before she recognized my face. That broke me. I felt small and big at the same time. Small because my problems felt heavy. Big because somehow, without knowing, I had carried someone else too. She said she wanted me to know that my life mattered. She said people think only big actions count, but sometimes it is small moments that hold people back from falling. I looked at the road. I looked at my hands. They were shaking now, not from fear, but from something I could not name. I realized I had spent years thinking I was just managing to survive. I never believed I could be useful to anyone else. Standing there listening to her, I understood something new and frightening. Maybe my life was not as useless as I had been telling myself. And maybe that truth was harder to carry than all my debts. She opened her nylon bag and brought out a small notebook. It looked old and tired, like it had traveled with her through many places. The corners were bent, the pages were soft from use. She held it with care, like it could break if handled rough. She told me she writes down the names of people and moments she's grateful for. Not every day, only when something touches her deeply. She opened the notebook and turned to the first page. My name was there, written clearly, not big, not small, just steady. Seeing my name there made my legs weak. I did not know when I sat down on the edge of the kiosk. I felt like someone had opened a door inside me that I did not know existed. She said she wrote it the morning after that night. She said she did not know my name then, so she described me by my voice and my umbrella. She said later, when she finally learned my name, she went back and corrected it. I asked her how she found my name. She said life has a way of returning people to their stories. She said she met someone at the printing press weeks ago who spoke about a young man named Kunle that helps sometimes and argues a lot about money. She laughed when she said it. She said she knew it was me. I felt exposed, like my whole life was an open book. She closed the notebook and held it to her chest for a moment. Then she reached into her bag again. This time, she brought out a folded check. She did not rush. She did not act like she was doing charity. She placed it in my hand slowly. She told me it was not payment. She said you cannot pay for life. She said it was appreciation. I looked down and saw the amount, 5 million naira. My head spun, my ears rang, the street disappeared again. I thought of my landlord's face. I thought of the press owner's threats. I thought of the nights I slept hungry and pretended I was fine. All of it pressed against my chest at once. I tried to give it back. My hands shook. I told her I could not take it. I said it was too much. She refused gently. She said when she was drowning, nobody asked if help was too much. She said I did not measure my words that night, so she would not measure her gratitude now. She said this money would not solve everything in your life, but it would help you stand better. She said I wanted you to breathe. Tears rolled down my face before I could stop them. I did not wipe them. I did not hide them. For the first time in a long while, I did not feel ashamed of being seen. She stood up and told me to take care of myself. She told me to keep seeing people. She told me to keep speaking, even when I feel tired. She walked away without looking back. I sat there with the check in my hand, the notebook image still fresh in my mind. I felt like something had shifted inside me. I realized that help does not always come when you are loud. Sometimes it comes when you are quiet and tired. And sometimes it comes because you once spoke kindly without knowing who was listening. I stayed there long after she left. The check was still in my hand, folded but heavy, like it had weight beyond paper. People passed and looked at me sitting there, but nobody stopped. Life continued the way it always does, without waiting for anybody to understand what just happened. When I finally stood up, my legs felt strange, like I was learning how to walk again. I put the check inside my bag and held the strap tight, not because I was afraid it would fall, but because I needed to feel something real.
As I walked home, the street looked different. Not new, not clean, just clearer. I noticed things I usually ignored. A security man sitting under a tree, fighting sleep. A woman balancing a bucket on her head. A child dragging a wrapper from behind. A man shouting on his phone, anger all over his face. Everybody was carrying something. At the junction near my house, the security man greeted me. Normally, I would nod and pass. That day, I stopped and answered properly. He smiled, surprised. The smile stayed with me as I continued walking. Inside my room, the heat was the same. The cracked wall was still there. The bills were still on the table, but they no longer felt like a prison. I sat on my bed and brought out the check again. 5 million naira. I said the amount out loud just to hear it. My voice shook. I did not rush to plan how to spend it. I just sat and breathed. I felt something I had not felt in a long time. Relief mixed with fear, mixed with gratitude. That night, sleep came slowly. My mind replayed that rainy evening again and again. Not the rain, but the pause. The moment I slowed down. The moment I spoke without thinking. I wondered how many times I had rushed past people like that since then. I wondered how many moments I had missed because I was too busy surviving. In the days that followed, I paid my rent. I settled the printing press debt. I sent money to my mother without explanation. Each payment felt like removing a stone from my chest. But the biggest change was not the money. I started paying attention. I listened when people spoke, even when I was tired. I helped small when I could. I greeted people properly, not because I wanted to be a good person, but because I now understood how close everyone stands to an edge you cannot see. Sometimes I still feel small. Sometimes fear still wakes me up at night. Money does not erase that. Life does not suddenly become easy. But now, when I walk through rain, I remember that night. I remember that someone might be standing somewhere quiet, hoping to be seen. And I know this truth, heavy and simple at the same time. You do not always know when you are standing in the most important moment of someone else's life. Sometimes you save a person without knowing, and sometimes, years later, they find you, just to say thank you for nothing.